Welcome to the Loveland All Sports Podcast, where the land of love can get updates on not only Loveland sports, but learn and discuss many sports topics. Shoot any ideas to lovelandallsports@gmail.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook at the Loveland All Sports Pod. Loveland All Sports Pod is sponsored by Meredith DeWitt of Brittany Fritz Realty, Loveland's #1 boutique brokerage. Contact Meredith for any and all of your real estate needs at meredithbfteam@gmail.com. This episode, we have Loveland mom, volunteer extraordinaire, and overall sports fan Tori Morrison to join our show. Tori has turned a tragedy into a triumph, and you will hear her story from her son Ben's suicide 3 years ago to her leading Ben's Way program that recognizes students who do good deeds in many communities, as well as the Ben Morrison Memorial Foundation that has provided 33 scholarships to date, all while having fun and leading many fundraisers. Since she ran the Loveland Homecoming Parade for years, you probably recognize her as this year's Grand Marshal, or as we like to call her, the Homecoming Queen. Sit back, enjoy, and consider how you can get involved in Ben's Way or the Ben Morrison Memorial Foundation. All right, well, we're here out at mile 42 on a beautiful Wednesday morning. We're here to celebrate the Grand Marshal of the Loveland Homecoming Parade, and as my wife likes to call her, the Homecoming Queen.
That's right.
We're here with Tori Morrison, talk about quite a few things. Good morning, Tori.
Good morning.
So Tori used to run the Loveland Boosters Homecoming Parade for years, and then she took a step down, and so tomorrow she'll be recognized as the Grand Marshal. I saw you soliciting a convertible. Did you get a good one?
I did get a good one. It's a black BMW.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a lot better. I told Meredith I was going to serve up that orange piece of crap razor that I have. And she's like, no, Tori will find she'll find a good Beamer convertible somewhere.
Yeah.
So awesome. So we're going to talk a lot today about the Ben Morrison Memorial Foundation. We're going to talk about Ben's Way. We're going to talk about how Tori got into volunteering and all the things that she's done, and get a chance to tell her story about her son, Ben. So first and foremost, let's talk a little bit about your family. Or let's talk about how you got to Loveland and then also your family.
So I actually went to grade school in Loveland. Started out here in second grade and was here through the end of sixth grade. My grandmother lives here, right on Wall Street.
Yeah.
Grew up there. And then my parents built a house out in New Richmond. So we relocated there. That's where I ended up meeting my husband, Donnie, when we were sophomores in high school.
The baseball star.
The baseball star, yeah, he'll love that. And we ended up getting married and eventually just resettling back in Loveland. Actually lived in my grandmother's house for a couple of years before the family sold it. And just kind of stayed here. We liked it. So all three of our kids have graduated from here. It's a great place.
Awesome. And then talk about family. You got older daughters, right?
Yep. I have, my oldest is Ashley. She graduated in 2003. And then I have Chelsea, who graduated in 2010. And then Ben, who graduated in 2020.
Okay. And then currently you're working at, besides you're curtailing your volunteer initiatives that you do. I know you've retired, let's call it, from the boosters. Still do a lot of volunteering with the new project that we're going to talk a lot about today. But I learned that you also did a little stint in accounting.
You mean being treasurer for boosters? Oh yeah. That was a lot of fun. It's actually a lot of work, but it was very rewarding. Yeah, so I did that for almost 4 years.
Okay.
I did the treasurer's job. Yeah.
And it helps you at RP Diamond, I'm sure, with just keeping numbers straight and whatnot.
Yeah, and God love RP Diamond. They make my life easy for doing a lot of other things at the same time. So
that's great. Awesome. So what got you into being a sports mom?
I am not a sit on the sidelines kind of person, So when my daughter was involved, my oldest, in soccer, that's where I started.
Okay.
I was always team mom for the club team and planning our weekend tournaments away and hotels and the whole team going and taking all these 15, 12-year-old girls out of town and all that kind of stuff. And it just got to be just what I did. I don't know, she played for, back in the day, gosh, I can't remember the name of the club out in Beachmont, the Cardinals. And I found myself somehow in charge of assigning refs for all the games. Don't know how that ever happened, but I did that for years. So I don't know, I'm just one of those people who start off going to a meeting and the next thing you know, you're
voluntold what you're doing.
correct. And then you're on the board and you're doing something, right? So yeah, just.
And then naturally, along comes a boy later in life.
Yep.
You had Ben, who I know because, my daughter's Ben's age and my son's a year younger.
Yep.
So Ben was involved in football, lacrosse, and what about youth? And at high school was football and lacrosse, but before that.
Yeah, he did a little bit of everything. He played soccer for a couple of years. He played baseball, hated it, much to my husband's just really sorrow. It was just too boring for him, too much downtime, and God love him. Donnie coached him and even had him as the pitcher or the catcher or the first baseman. So it was like all those positions that were in a lot of the plays. It still wasn't enough for Ben. But so yeah, he just was one of those kids that was naturally good at whatever he would pick up and try.
Yeah.
Started lacrosse kind of later, like fourth grade. They kept trying to get him to start. And we kept putting it off because it's such an expensive sport. And then it became, well, we'll give him the gear, let him play. And he even wrestled a year.
Did he? Okay.
Absolutely. I detested wrestling. Unfortunately, he won something at every tournament we went to. He didn't win the tournament, but he would get second or third. So I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, he's going to love this. We've got a whole set of trophies and plaques and ribbons, and he's going to think this is wonderful. But thank God he didn't. Played travel basketball for years. Kind of after freshman year, was done with basketball. It's too hard to do 3 sports.
Well, it's hard to do 3 sports and being a big kid Ben was a big, strong kid. It's tough.
We always laughed. He looked like a football player on the basketball court. I'm sure Zach was the same way. You just look like, Ben, this is not tackle football.
Right. Going through that transition with Charlie, and he gave it up freshman year, and he had a great time playing rec.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was awesome. Great. Well, feel free to share a story about Ben. If you want to share why you're doing the Ben's Way and the Ben Morrison Memorial Foundation. Feel free to share the story with our listeners.
I think the biggest thing about Ben is things that I found out after the fact.
Okay.
After Ben passed away, I received a lot of people coming forward talking to me about things, and not just his peers, underclassmen. I even had teachers reaching out, telling me stories that I didn't know about Ben. And I think I learned a whole other side of him that I didn't know existed. And I always tell people, as a parent, you have a view of your kid. And that view is, did you do your homework? Why won't you take the garbage out? I asked you 3 times, today is going to be the day you're going to take it out. I can remember one day I even took the garbage and set it by his bed. I could have easily carried it out, but I set it by his bed, like a prompting, did it go? No, it still sat there. But, so those are the things you see and you deal with every day with your kid. And I found out a lot of things that how he was so different with his friends and with caring. And I should have seen it more because anytime little kids were around, they gravitated to him.
Okay.
His nieces and nephew, cousins, anybody, all over him, to the point I'm telling him, Ben, you can tell them that they can't do that anymore.
Jumping on him or
yes,
pulling on his leg
just
or
always,
Right.
And it just was the kind of person he was. There's so many pictures and kids are just laying all over him, and that's just how he was. He was just, just like that. And so I heard a lot of stories about him and found that he took care of the younger classmen a lot.
Oh. Like in lacrosse or in football, being an upperclassman, helping out the freshmen?
Yeah, exactly. He would, I knew some of it. He would say to me, Mom, I'm going to go up early to the turf. So-and-so wants to shoot goals, or whatever. Or, I'm going to go help them with their wall ball or whatever it is. And I'm going to go shoot balls at Benjamin Wanger, whatever, so he can practice being goalie. And, but I had, I'll give you a story. A kid dad tells the kid, you need to make sure you look out for the underclassmen that are coming to practice. And the kid says, Dad, you don't have to worry about that. Ben taught me how to do that.
Really?
And so it's the stories like that that I'm hearing after the fact. And I'm saying somehow we have to recognize this and see this in kids. Because I think a lot of times those kids fly under the radar, which is what Ben did.
Yeah.
He flew under the radar. But, if you look back at pictures from high school, when he's on the field, everyone is around him talking to him about what the play is and how it's going to be. Senior year, he wasn't a captain of the football team, but they're all around him when they're on the field. And I used to tell him that all the time. I was like, captain's just a word. I mean, if you look at who's acting as the captain,
right?
But that's just how he was. That was his nature. He was gonna, and man, that kid could read the field. He could read the field. He knew the plays in fourth grade. I mean,
Well, and that's why he was on defense, on football primarily. Played some offense, if I remember, but mainly defense because it's just see ball and get ball.
Yeah.
And he helped make an impact, especially, those two classes of Loveland teams, Ben's senior year and Zach's senior year. They didn't have much win it.
No, I tell people all the time, you had to really love the game then.
Yeah.
Ben played 4 years of high school football, and you know very well what that commitment is. They won 2 games in 4 years.
Right.
His freshman year, he was on the freshman squad. They didn't win a game. Sophomore year, he moved to varsity. They beat Withrow. Junior year, varsity. They beat Withrow. Senior year, they didn't win a game.
Right.
You have to love a sport to stay with it that long, especially one as committed as football is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a time. And that's what's great about Loveland. The coach then at the beginning of Ben's time, with Coach Cranford and Coach Cruz and now Coach Damewood. I tell people all the time that if you're coming to Loveland to win state championships, you're playing football for the wrong reason. And that's true of any school. I don't care if it's one of the top private schools or top public schools in Ohio. If you're playing to win state titles, you're playing for the wrong reason.
Yep.
Because football is going to help you build all the things we're talking about that is in Ben's DNA, that is the impact he made on other kids. That comes from playing football.
When your memories are made on the bus, your memories are made at practice, your memories, they don't just happen in that 2-hour football game.
Right.
They happen in all of those other times, stories about so-and-so couldn't get a ride to practice. So we all jump in the car and we, run down the hill to go pick them up so they can get to practice.
Right.
And, those are the kind of things that, are your memories and the things that you take with you, know?
Right. Well, that's awesome. And a handful of years ago after the tragedy, Meredith and I and our family was at the funeral, and I'll never forget the touching part at the end of the funeral where they had all the teammates for lacrosse and football come out.
Yeah.
And that was exactly what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
And we're all sitting in there post-COVID. Should I go to this public event? Should I not? Screw it. We're all going. I don't know if Charlie went. He was young, but Zach, Zoe. And it was just, that's exactly what this community brought together when you saw lacrosse and football brothers up there for forever, to be cemented in that situation.
It's a funny comment to make, but I really wish someone had recorded it.
Yeah.
It's such an odd thing to think that you wish like a memorial service had been recorded.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in hindsight, I really do.
Really?
Because it was such a special moment. Just the whole thing, was just this community. Gosh, I say it all the time. You can't ask for anything better than Loveland. You really can. The way this community rallies around, and if I'm not mistaken, that was in the midst of all the fighting about school levies and, but we all set that all aside. And, we just, that isn't what anything's about anymore. And I remember with the service just being like, so worried that they weren't going to let people come because it was COVID. And,
correct.
And I was like, we can't do that to these kids because you have to give kids an opportunity to grieve and to be a part of something if they want to be.
Right. And we didn't know at that time, and we're all sitting there deciding at home if we should go or not because of COVID and this and that. It was like,
we're going.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. I forgot that there were, stern levy, people against the levy,
Yeah.
hugging people that were pro levy,
Yeah.
like big time people, and they're
Yeah.
hugging it out because it was a time to come together.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool. I think you and I have talked about this before. In high school, I was in a serious car accident where one of my best friends was killed. And that was in 1988. And we still talk about this.
Yeah.
And we still talk about Nick's funeral. And we still talk about what we did afterwards and how it brought us together. And none of us are guaranteed what we are on this planet.
Yeah.
And we just have to cherish the time that those people are in our lives and then use all the positive things. I mean, we still have a scholarship at Sycamore High School for Nick Corradini.
Yep.
It's 2024. And we've been doing
I hope
it
you
for
always
how
have
long?
it.
And it's just awesome.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So thanks for sharing some of that. So, tell me, tell the audience about what is Ben's Way?
So Ben's Way was started specifically, so the scholarships in the beginning that we gave out were all written about Ben because the kids knew Ben. And obviously as those kids graduate, they can't be written about him anymore.
Right.
When it's Charlie's turn to write a scholarship, he didn't really know Ben. I mean, he may know a story from Zach or Zoe, but he didn't know Ben, so he can't speak to that. So we decided, how do we continue that story? And two things happened, real close together. We did a petting zoo at the high school. We brought in farm animals, the greatest thing in the world. And Kate Jackson, who's on the board, saw a student spend his whole time with one of the special needs kids, making sure that this kid got to touch the animals. He wasn't on his phone. He wasn't distracted with his friends. He was strictly the whole 30 minutes helping this special needs kid. It so touched her that she went and found his mom on Facebook to tell his mom, what a wonderful job she did raising her son, basically, and how great this was. And she said, we have to recognize that in some way. How do we recognize that? And then a picture popped up on her memories, as they do. And it was a picture of the first time her son Bailey got to dress for varsity. So I believe he was a sophomore or freshman,
Probably.
I can't remember. And he had dressed for varsity. And you can see it's kind of early in the game. Ben has just come off the field because his hair's all sweaty. He's taken his helmet off. And he is down at that end of the field where those three freshmen are. Bailey, Ethan Lund, and I can't remember the third one. He is down there talking to them, making sure that they're feeling welcome and that they're okay, as opposed to being down with everyone else on his team. Now, I'm not saying he didn't go down with his team after that.
Right.
But he made a point of going straight over to them, talking to them. You can see in the picture, there's a series of 4 or 5 of them. They're laughing. He's just making them feel welcome. And we were like, that's Ben's Way. That's, different classmates would tell me the same thing. Ben had an intuitive way to know when someone was upset. And he would say, how are you doing today? What's going on with you? Kind of thing. And that's how Ben's Way started.
That's
we
great.
said, we have to recognize that. We need to, I don't want to say reward, but we need to reward that.
So basically, when Ben's Way sees somebody doing something good, you reward them with a gift certificate. You reward them with some type of acknowledgement, right?
Yes, they get a $25 gift certificate to Amazon. They get a beautiful card that says, we see you exhibiting Ben's Way, and kind of explains what Ben's Way is. We are in 8 schools now.
Okay.
Very proud of that. 7 districts, because we double up in Loveland and Milford. We're at junior high and high school in both. And we're expanding. I mean, we just added Little Miami, and we're in talks with another elementary school to actually start a pilot program there. And they probably won't get a $25 gift card, but we're figuring out something different for them.
It was cool. McDonald's Happy Meals.
Play past a recreations outlet has been talked about, just something that is meaningful to them.
Right. And it will always continue to drive awareness as well, which is
right.
And then in addition, you've been using Ben's Way to talk to the football coaches and the football team I know you met with. Tell a little bit about that.
I actually had the opportunity, I did talk to the football team, but then I got the opportunity to talk to all of Loveland's coaches at their pre-meeting. And it was just a chance to kind of talk about kids hear what they want to hear. If I tell you, hey, Josh, you might get to start this weekend, the only thing you heard was you're starting this weekend. You've already told your grandparents to come. Your aunt and uncle are coming. Your cousins from out of town are coming.
Right.
The whole thing. And then when you don't start, somewhere there's a disconnect, I think, where, in my opinion, the coaches need to go back to that person and tell them why. And I think for some reason, coaches are missing that step. I don't know if it's we're the adult, we don't need to explain ourselves to you, but I don't look at it that way. I look at it as more of just, hey, you didn't do anything wrong. We just need to change our game plan.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it can be as simple as that. Or it can be, listen, you screwed up at practice, so now you're not starting.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
But that honesty is what kids need.
Well, we grew up in the way we were raised in our culture, in our society, was the coach just said, tough crap.
Right.
And we just, okay.
And you didn't stand on the sidelines and ask to go in, because if you did, you were never
Right.
getting in.
So, AJ Williams talked about this on a podcast. We raise our kids this way. It's not like you can take away video games and cell phones, because it's part of life. You have to learn how to manage the video game and cell phone, because it's always going to be there.
Yep.
And so these kids have a different way of looking at things. And that's where, from a mental health perspective, we learned a lot last week, meeting with Dave Ariano in the 988 initiative. That podcast is coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so it's a similar conversation there where, these kids are different.
They are different.
They need to be, as much as we want to be hard-ass old school people and talk about this is the way we do things, we have to coddle them a little bit and talk and help them understand and get their feelings out.
One of the things that I always, and he knows I use it as an example, is Coach Riggle, who coached Ben in lacrosse. He is the perfect example of a hard-ass coach. He is. He expects a lot from those kids. He's old school, but there's a difference. They know he cares.
Yeah.
And they know that he treats every athlete the same way. He doesn't care if you're a starter. If you break the rules, you're not playing. I'll never forget when he first started, we had to miss a game because my mom had passed away and my phone was blowing up. He had half of the starters on the bench. They're like, who the heck is this guy? What has Loveland done now? Why are we letting this guy, who is he? Who does he think he is? He's got half our starters. We're playing Indian Hill. How are we, I'm literally, my phone was going insane. I think a lot of people didn't know I was at a funeral, but.
Great.
But, and it was just, he was teaching them that it is my way or the highway, and we are going to follow these rules. And at the end of the day, those kids would have done anything for him. But he showed them that he cared with also the discipline. So you can have both. You just have to find that.
Yeah. There's a few stories. I won't go into them. But yeah, the current football staff, there's a few times that I know the Tigers have done some running based on things that are simple.
Yeah.
But they didn't say break the rules, but they just did something they weren't supposed to do, and the child had to run for it, which is awesome. It's teaching them a lot more about life than being 4-0 or being 0-4 at this point in the season.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more important to go through that than it is to just look the other way.
But you have to treat them all the same. You can't,
Right.
like if you make the statement, and I know this has happened in the past, not with football or not with boys lacrosse, but, anyone who misses for spring break doesn't get to play when they get back.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? They did get to play when they got back because it was going into tournament time. So how is that? And they were star players. Kids don't forget those things.
Right.
They remember those things. And those are the things that you lose credibility as a coach.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the Ben Morrison Memorial Foundation, because that's an opportunity that you are providing scholarships to student athletes, correct?
Correct. And that 100% was created selfishly because I wanted Ben's name to continue, right? As a parent. You want Ben to be remembered. And again, working with Loveland High School, they were phenomenal. They helped us. We put out the first 3 scholarships within 2 months of Ben's passing. And
where you didn't think you were going to raise enough money to do half of one, right?
Correct.
And you did.
And we did 3 of them that first year. Yeah. So far in 4 years, we've done 33 scholarships.
Wow.
And I'm especially proud of that. And it is a way to help kids. We don't have any grade requirements. Ben could have cared less about school. We don't have any, there's no requirement that you're going to college. You know, you can use the money for whatever you want to use it for.
You don't have to be playing lacrosse or football.
Well, there is. Yeah, you don't have to be playing in college. But so we give out a lacrosse scholarship. We give out a football scholarship, clearly more than one, since I said 33 in 4 years. And then we started giving out a volunteer scholarship.
Okay.
We found that we have a lot of kids that volunteer for us, i.e., like for the golf outing, for whatever event we're doing. They volunteer and help us, and we said that's not fair to them that they can't get a scholarship.
Yeah.
So their prompt is, tell us what you volunteered for and what it meant to you. Okay. And those have been some of the best essays.
Really?
They're awesome. The kids really take it to heart. They know why they're there, and they really talk about this community, seeing them at the golf outing and how everyone comes together. And you know how a charity golf outing is. You're not just paying to be in it, then you're paying for all these events that you're doing throughout the day, and nobody complains.
Right. Well, sorry I missed it. Charlie was on JV football this year, or at the time of the golf outing.
I'll get you there one of these years.
Well, he needs to get on varsity full time, and then my Saturdays in August will be free. Or September. No, August. It's
August, yeah. Well, it took my cousin 4 years to come, so it's okay.
Great. Good. All right. So family hasn't even been there yet. Yeah. Well, and actually, I started golfing again. So that was my biggest problem I just started golfing this summer. And, Charlie's doing well now, so we'll be starting to have some free time. All right. Well, let's take a break and let's now have some fun. I have all my guests sit in what I call Josh's smoking seat. So I've got 9 questions.
Okay.
We'll just rattle off rapid fire and see your responses. Skyline or Goldstar?
Skyline.
LeBron or Jordan?
Jordan.
Did you stay on the Bengals bus for 31 years and no playoff wins?
I'm not a huge football fan. Okay. Unless my kids play.
Good. You free up a lot of Sundays then. Because your friend Meredith is the opposite. She is nuts. So I have to sit in this chair. I need to watch it on this TV.
No.
It's pretty funny. When you eat corn on the cob, are you a typewriter or a rotator?
Rotator,
okay. Should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame?
Absolutely.
What's your first concert?
Bon Jovi.
Oh, that's a good one.
I know.
That's a real good one.
At the Gardens.
Yeah. When you make cereal, do you put the milk in the bowl first or the cereal first?
Well, I don't eat cereal, but when I used to, the cereal first.
Okay. Have you met any famous athletes?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, cool. Well, I just wanted to thank you for sitting in the
DeWitt.
smoking seat. No. You didn't know me at all when I was like 10th of an athlete.
My husband would say I met him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Donnie would say that.
Yes.
I've had enough conversation with Donnie.
Yeah.
He had a great high school baseball career at New Richmond. So.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having a little fun. So,
yeah.
Thinking about fundraising. This was just off the cuff. Golf outing. Bingo at Hops and Berries. Ben's birthday party. The 988 Initiative. Tigers Inc. Cappy's fundraisers. What am I missing? I mean,
I think that's pretty much it. We tried to pair them down because we felt like we were doing a little too much. And the Cappies, gosh, Ben at Cappies is so wonderful, as you know. And he actually does 2 fundraisers a year for us.
Okay.
We do one during Mental Health Awareness Month, which is May. And then we do one in September, which is coming up this weekend.
9/21.
For Suicide Prevention Month.
Okay.
And low key, we're just going to go hang out, and he'll donate for every pint purchased, every glass of wine. And it's just a fun evening. I think I have 3 raffle baskets.
Okay.
Probably do a little split the pot, listen to some music.
Yeah.
Just
I guess
make it fun.
I kind of go there every now and then.
I run into you
schedule
sometimes,
looks like.
yeah.
Well, we missed you Saturday. We went to go meet you, and you had already left. So then Meredith and I left, which was good. So
I didn't actually show up.
Oh, you didn't?
No, because I pretty much got heat stroke at my niece's soccer game.
Well, it must have been in the air, Tori, because we went home early because I got stung in the base of my tongue by a bee at Nisbet Park. I was taking a sip of my beer, and a bee flew in my mouth, and I had to go get Hawaiian shaved ice, and we ended up going to Grader's to get ice cream. So it wasn't a big party night for us. But this Saturday, we'll make up for it and come to that. So, yeah, everybody, Ben is a sponsor of this podcast, if you all didn't know. And so on this Saturday night, what band's playing there? Do we know? Not Chucky's in Love. That's your band.
Scudder, Holler Boys, Scudder.
Okay.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Well, it'll be a great time.
It'll be good. Yep.
Have one beer and $1 will go to the Ben Morrison Memorial Foundation, which is a great cause.
Easiest fundraiser ever.
We're sitting here at mile 42, just, 50 yards away from the Angels by the Trails. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, wonderful story. Angels by the Trail was started by Stacy Lund, who is also on my board. There's a Angel Alley in Mason. Same kind of concept. Any child that lived in Mason that passed away for any reason can be on their wall. And Stacy approached them about having been on the wall, and of course their answer was no, because we didn't live in Mason.
You've got to draw the line. Right.
And so Stacy said, well, then I'll just do my own. And so Stacy created her own wall. She got Eads, donated the wall. She got a lot of companies that donated their time to pressure washing and landscaping, and then raised money to pay for the mural itself. And it's a beautiful tribute to all of our kids here in Loveland. I forget how many are on there now, but I mean, there's...
It's more than 10, less than 20,
God.
right? It's somewhere in that.
No, I bet it's over 20
Is
now.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think there's been some added, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, and it can go back to whenever. Like, my mom had a sister who passed away at the age of 18 here in Loveland. I could really petition and put her name on the wall if I wanted to. And if my mom was still alive, I probably would for her. But no one else is around that would know who that was. So,
well, it's such a, if you haven't been down to it, I bike on the trail, and Meredith and I walk, and you walk by it. It makes me stop and think about my friend Nick that passed away when we were in high school. So, he was a Sycamore guy, so he won't be allowed on our wall, but the same type of thing. It gives people a pause to think about an elderly loved one that passed away, or another child in their life that passed away.
It's just such a peaceful place, too. It really is.
A couple of benches there. You can sit there and reflect. And then even like the paintings on the Eagles, or the painting on Ben's establishment at Cappy's, it's such a tasteful.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not an art guy. It's a tasteful painting. And it's pretty neat to see that. So thank you to Stacy Lund for heading that up and what she's done. Speaking about, it's not just you. You can't do everything by yourself. You have an army of 8 people that help you with the Ben Morrison Foundation. Talk a little bit about them.
So I handpicked them all. This started out, my family was doing it with me, and, my oldest has 4 kids. So, she's pretty busy with them. And I decided I needed to be very serious about this and get a serious board and to continue to do the things I wanted to do. So I handpicked people that knew Ben. They are all people that have some connection with Ben in some way. So Stacy Lund, obviously, Kate Jackson, both knew him through football. Krista Dews, her son played lacrosse with Ben. Lisa McNally, her husband coached Ben in youth football and was the prod to get us into lacrosse to begin with.
Okay.
John McNally. And my sister, obviously, is on Lauren. My very dear friend, Kelly Deere, her son, Carson, and Ben were best friends. Share a birthday one day apart. So she's on the board. I think I mentioned all 8. Hopefully I didn't forget anybody. Megan Hogan, who knew Ben through lacrosse as well. Sure. Her son was actually the one who told the story about Ben taught him how to be nice to the underclassmen.
Really?
I hope he's okay with me sharing that.
That's pretty tough.
So, I handpicked those people, and they all have their different strengths, Gosh, if you don't know Megan, she's a whiz with graphics and things like that. And Stacy keeps me organized, and, I don't know what I would do without those 7 other women.
Well, as Benway's grown and the foundation's grown, just seeing on Facebook, you can see, oh, wow, they're partnering up with the 988 initiative this week, and they're sitting at an event passing out awareness, marketing collateral, or the bracelets, or, oh, wow, now they're at a school doing this, or they're partnering with Brandon Soho and talking the mental illness story. not just at Loveland, but going
Right.
to all these other
Yeah.
schools. So it truly takes an army. And
Yes, it does.
it's pretty neat. I mean, I know Zach and Ben weren't friends. I mean, they were teammates.
Right.
But then, with Nate Holman, Zoe's boyfriend, being a good friend of Ben's growing up all through football and lacrosse,
Yep.
it's pretty neat. When I see you give those kids a hug, it's pretty cool. So it's
I tell those boys all the time, they will never know what that means to me.
right.
That I saw, I was just invited to one of their weddings. Tyler Shelley got
Right.
married. And yeah, they just will never know.
Right.
So I got to see 3 or 4 of the boys that night, and it just, it's not the hug that I wish I was getting, but it certainly is a really nice hug.
Right. So how can people help? I mean, money, time, volunteer. You have an army of 8, and you are crazy with all the stuff that you do. I know that, but is there any way that people can help you out?
Absolutely. We are always looking for more volunteers. We'll post things on Facebook occasionally. The city just asked us to be a part of their Return of the Frogman event
Okay.
on October 12th. We will be running a Big Six table and possibly 2 poker tables. So I'm going to need help with that for sure, because I know nothing about
Right.
Big Six wheel or poker.
Right.
So those kinds of things are wonderful. They're a great opportunity. I think people get intimidated because they think that everything we do, they have to be able to talk about mental health. And that's not the case in an event like that, right?
Right.
We're just there. I mean, yes, I'll probably have some of our wristbands and some of our stuff around, but that's not the kind of event where you're speaking about mental health,
Right.
like when we go to a high school or somewhere.
Yeah, makes total sense. And people automatically think, oh, I don't have money to donate. Time is the most
huge.
important thing, I
Yep.
feel. And
Time
so
is
people,
big.
You can give an hour, you can give 6 hours, or you can ask to be on the board and give weeks of your time to
Yeah.
it. So there's always some way that people can volunteer. So that's great.
Yep.
Anything else you'd like to add today? It's been a great conversation. Anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so.
Awesome. Well, between you and David and bringing up the awareness is great, but then talking as we did today about the entire story and what your 2 programs are is what we want to get out there, and having some fun in the smoking seat, and then tying this all back into sports, because that's what's kind of tied all this together with our
Absolutely.
conversation. So
Absolutely.
Tori, it's been great getting to know you over the years, being friends with you and Donnie and Meredith and I, and any tragedy is very tough, but the way you turn a negative into positive and help others is amazing. And so most importantly, enjoy tomorrow night. You get to be, like we said at the beginning, the Grand Marshal of the Loveland Parade. Sit back and enjoy it. Be the queen that you are. And probably
Can't
next year
wait.
you won't even come, will you?
I said I was staying away from this one. I said I was not coming anywhere
Right.
near this parade. And then Meredith said, oh, no, yes, you are. You're going to be the Grand Marshal. And I said, of course you did.
Well,
You did anything to make me come back.
enjoy the heck of it. I'm sure
I can't wait.
there's going to be some props that'll be.
Oh, I'm sure. Lord only knows what Meredith has
Right.
planned.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening, and thank you, Tori Morrison.
This episode is sponsored by Cappy's Wine and Spirits in downtown Loveland. Tap room, bottle shop, meeting place, great music, gift ideas, and just a traditional watering hole. Cappy's continues to shine during our extended summer with some great music and fundraisers. Thanks, Tori, for all that you do. Your family and the team of people that you work with are an inspiration to many. We all continue to heal with you, and turning tragedy into triumph is paying off for awareness and for many people throughout Cincinnati. Peace.